It's Friday, January 15th, 2021. I am Greg Nibbler, and this is Two Box Live. And hello, everyone. Yes, indeed, I am Greg Nibbler, and thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Of course, Two Box Live from Two Box Media, TWO Box Media. Hit subscribe or share or like, whatever platform you're on. We do appreciate it when you do that, and that way you get notifications when we put up all of the great stuff that we have been covering. And this week has been a lot. The Consumer Electronics Show all happened virtually this week, and we were there. Virtually, with a lot of interviews, a lot of great coverage, and we've got another one of those interviews coming up on today's show with Biczak from Canon. Going to talk about what Canon brought to the table, and it is pretty cool. So that's a great interview. That's going to be on this episode, so you'll get to see that here in a little bit. But again, check out our YouTube channel for a lot of our other interviews as well. But with all that tech news, there may be some things that you forgot about, and that's some entertainment. So let's talk about that today, because today is a big day if you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The very first standalone series, other than the Netflix ones, which were awesome, but now they're no longer canon, is out today on Disney+, and that is WandaVision. And it looks weird. It really does. I can't get over that. Here's the whole premise of this. Of course, the Scarlet Witch, Vision, they're in this alternate multiverse where they're set in some kind of a sitcom world. But this thing is supposed to be very important for the rest of what is going to happen with Marvel. This opens up the floodgates for the multiverse, as it will, which can bring in all kinds of things. There's going to be cameos from, or at least maybe more than a cameo, honestly, at least appearances from Doctor Strange in this. There's going to be, they said, characters from Thor, people from Ant-Man. So there's going to be all kinds of other MCU characters that'll show up during this 9-episode run of this series, and this is supposed to set up everything else that's going to be happening when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's a big one, and despite the strange factor, you got to trust Marvel and Kevin Feige and everything that they've done on this and what they've been able to bring to the table. Now, this is part of an overall goal to bring you a new Marvel episode, a series episode, or a movie pretty much every week for the rest of your life. That seems to be what the plan is, because as soon as this one is done, you got to wait a couple of weeks, but then you'll get the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then you'll get the Black Widow movie. Maybe that one could change just depending on theaters. Then you'll get, I believe, Loki after that. Then you'll get Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, and it just goes on and on and on. And that's because Marvel is expanding this thing to so many different things. And there's a ton of series that are in development. She-Hulk. I mean, there's so many. I'm even forgetting them off the top of my head right now. But that's Moon Knight. Moon Knight's another one. Sorry, that one just came to me. But yeah, there's a ton of other series that are going to come to this too. They are all going to tie in. They said they're not going to make it to where you have to see everything to understand what goes on in the movies, but you're going to get a lot more references, just like all the other ones, if you see everything. And let's be honest, they're going to get my money regardless. So you got all that, and you have Star Wars series that are coming out. Marvel is killing it. Disney Plus is killing it with that as well. So check out WandaVision, which is out now. 2 episodes you can take a look at for this weekend. Continuing on, let's talk about, well, we're going right back to the Disney world, but this time we're going to the gaming side of things, and it has to do with Lucasfilm making an announcement that Lucasfilm Games, that's the new rebranding that they're going under, has 2 games in development that you're going to want to hear about. The first one is Star Wars. They're developing an open world Star Wars game. That right there should be enough to say, take my money. But we don't know much more about it. Again, I don't need to. Nonetheless, could this be, the speculation is rampant, could this be a Mandalorian video game? Could we get the Mandalorian world? Maybe we will. Maybe it'll be a standalone thing. I kind of think they'll lean towards something standalone, and maybe there'll be cameos that show up. But regardless, open world Star Wars, I am all for that. And that is what Lucasfilm said that they're going to be doing. That was part of their announcement this week, as they have this whole new gaming studio, it's gaming rebrand. Everything is going to be coming out under that. So you have Star Wars, and then you got something else. You have Indiana Jones. There's going to be an Indiana Jones game. So the Star Wars game is coming from Ubisoft. The Indiana Jones game is coming from Bethesda. And Bethesda put out a teaser trailer showcasing very Indiana Jones-y things. There's a whip, there's a typewriter, there's manuscripts, notes, whatever. It's Yes, I'm going to play that. However, there is also speculation on this. Since it's Bethesda, which is owned by ZenWorks, which is now owned by Microsoft. Microsoft bought the parent company of Bethesda. They're the same company that makes Fallout games. And because of that, there's speculation, is this game going to be an Xbox exclusive? That would certainly be a big thing for Xbox to do. They'd also lose out on a ton of money for all the PlayStation owners out there because, I mean, am I going to buy a new console to play the game? No, probably not. Although if they keep doing this, yeah, maybe eventually. But that is something that they are working on right now. So Bethesda bringing out that Indiana Jones game. You got Ubisoft with Star Wars, all under Lucasfilm Games. It's going to be a good time for gaming in the next couple of years if you like those series, and I bet you do. All right, moving on here. A couple of other things just to keep you up to date with some interesting news. This one, though, is probably a nightmare if you are a Bitcoin user, because you need to think about where your passwords are, where are your hard drives. This guy didn't, and he may have lost $280 million. So this is a British man who in 2013 threw away one of his identical old hard drives. He thought it was an old hard drive. He didn't need it anymore, threw it in the trash. Only then discovered a few months later that it had the key to 7,500 Bitcoins. 7,500, which today would be worth about $280 million. So this guy's 35 years old. His name is James Howells. And what he's trying to do right now is petition the city where he lives, the city dump, to let him excavate it and try to find this hard drive that's been sitting in there for 8-ish years. He thinks that even if it's rusted away, that the internal would be enough, that there's enough saved in there that somebody could rebuild it and get that information off of it. He's offering to donate a quarter of the profits, if he's successful, to the city for COVID relief or anything else that they want to use. He said that he will pay for the entire cost of the excavation. He's got some hedge fund that's offering to pay that up front, I guess, in order to get at this thing. But the city is saying no. They don't think that the environmental damage and anything else that would have to go along with this, with excavating 8 years of garbage to try to find one single hard drive in all of that, is worth the trouble. But he's still trying to do it. So he's getting some press right now for talking about that. It just, again, keep track of your Bitcoin key and where your hard drive is. Don't throw it in the dump. That's not a good idea. So it's $280 million, possibly just sitting there waiting for somebody to find it. All right, final thing here to talk about on our, just some trending news, some things to be aware of. Today is January 15th, 2021. 20 years ago today is when Wikipedia started. Wikipedia is 20 years old today. A couple of interesting things with that. So it was founded, so the domain was originally founded, in case you didn't know, Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger. So they are the two people who founded that. This is a video that came out from Wikimedia, just celebrating this. It's estimated that their monthly readership for Wikipedia is about 500 million people worldwide are on it. 500 million people worldwide. In September of 2018, they had 15.5 billion page views, just for an example. And they get about 117 million monthly unique visitors from the US alone. So roughly a third of our population goes to Wikipedia at least once. I go there a lot because anytime, I mean, how many times have you gone down a Wikipedia wormhole, let alone just looking up information about whatever is happening in the news? It's a reliable source. And it has so many different people that are on there editing it, trying to maintain that aspect of it, trying to maintain the integrity and the accuracy of the information, that they do a good job of it, which is why they're also always asking for money, because this is supposed to be a public works kind of thing. But that is what we're at, 20 years of Wikipedia. Can you imagine that world before that, when you had discs with the Encyclopedia Britannica or whatever they were on that? Yeah, it's a little bit different now. But Wikipedia, that is out there. The only recommendation I would have to them is put the Greg Nibbler Wikipedia page back up. It was up there for like 10 years and then somebody took it down. I mean, I think a lot of people visited that. So if we could get the Greg Nibbler Wikipedia page back up, that'd be great. Otherwise, congratulations on your 20 years. All right, let's do this. We've got more coming up here on this show because, as I mentioned, we have Chuck from Canon to talk about what they had at CES. It's really, really cool what they came up with and the experience that they created virtually, as we all were virtual. So we've got that for you. So stick around back here in a minute with more 2 Box Live. Welcome back. I'm I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. Of course, follow 2Box Media, TWO Box Media, wherever you're at, whatever social media platform you're on, share the show. And we're continuing to talk about CES 2021. And this whole thing was virtual this year. And I'm just going to be honest, it's a strange way to go about normally where you have 180,000 plus people in person. So you have to figure out different ways to create those experiences. And there's a great company to talk to about just that. And that's what we're going to do right now. Joining us from Canon, we have Chuck Biczak, the Director of Strategic Planning. Chuck, hello. How you doing?
Hey, Greg, how are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Doing great. You know, we're both from our respective houses here, as you know, all of, or I'm assuming that's where you're at. Maybe you're not, but definitely not down in Las Vegas. That's for sure, at least as far as our virtual, the way it's working this year with CES. And talking about that, Canon did something pretty unique, creating this virtual experience in space. And I wondered if you could walk through what planning was for like that and what exactly that was that you wanted to bring to people.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for asking, especially about space, because space is so exciting to everybody because we get so pumped about astronauts and learning about things that are outside of our world. And for us, it was a completely different experience to take that into the virtual world, but we were pumped by it. At first, when we were planning for a physical CES, I kept saying to our agency, we have to have a satellite orbiting our booth at full speed the entire time, all of CES. And I think they thought I was joking, but I really wasn't. Like I wanted to be able to really have that experience there. I think for us, and especially for Canon thinking about space, we wanted to accomplish three things. We have a real focus on Kyosei in this entire experience, not just space. And that's our corporate philosophy that all people, regardless of race, religion, and culture, are living and working together in harmony. We wanted to tell stories that create great memories, and we wanted to expand people's perception about Canon. So when you think about space and all the ways that you can do that, of course, we highlighted the satellite program, and that's just so awesome. We have these low Earth orbit satellites that use Canon equipment right in there, and I think the experience did a nice job of showing you kind of through the viewfinder what it looks like to see Earth from space, and you can even, in that experience, you can even kind of pretend that you're operating the satellite and take photos yourselves of different locations all around the world. So we wanted to do that, but then we also wanted to bring our astronaut friends in, and because Canon, it's more than satellites, right? It's not just satellites, but
Yeah.
we of course have cameras and video cameras, and we have people who've used that before too. So we were honored to have Colonel Terry Virts and Marcia Ivins on board. And Terry world premiered his film, Cosmic Perspective. And Cosmic Perspective was also the link to Kyosei for us in that activation. So, I could talk for days about it, but we were really excited and proud of what we were able to accomplish on that.
Well, and all of that's pretty exciting too, because you're talking about these different ways that you can experience what Canon does. And there was one that I really wanted to talk about as well. And I want to make sure I get the name right: volumetric video system. And it's this whole idea of being able to basically capture an image on so many different levels that you can kind of customize it. And I'm probably explaining it terribly. I wonder if you could walk us through this and just talk about what that experience is like and what it was that Canon brought with that.
That technology is unbelievable, and it really changes the world. You think it's a video game, but it's not. It's real life. And in that case, we have a volumetric video studio in Kawasaki, Japan. It's one of the largest studios of its kind in the world. It's got 150 4K 60 frame per second cameras based on our Cinema EOS technology. They're all outfitted with Cinema EOS 4K compact cine servo lenses. And it's one thing to talk about the tech, right? Tech specs are so cool, but tech matters when it changes lives. And this is why we wanted to bring it back into Kyosei. And we thought about it. We thought about all these different ways to highlight the technology. And the studio, of course, has a beautiful green screen. And we just kind of kept going around in circles, thinking about what would be the best way to highlight this. And I'm also a musician, and I kind of get hung up in musician ideas. But the agency noticed that we had just signed Atiba Jefferson to be our one of our latest explorers of light, and of course he's a world-renowned skateboard photographer and overall great guy. And they came up with the idea of recreating Love Park in Kawasaki, Japan. And I'm not sure if you're a skater or people in the audience would know. And I'm fortunate. I used to live just a few blocks away from Love Park, and it really was an incredible skateboarding mecca, and the city destroyed it. And you know how a lot of people feel about skateboarders and stuff. You know, we're not really sure
Yep.
why it was destroyed, but in any case, it was. And the agency came up with the idea of kind of recreating Love Park, and you know, long live love. So you know, poor Atiba, his original plan was to actually go to Japan and be part of the shoot. And of course, because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So then, you know, we presented the idea to him, and we said, you know, would you mind going to Japan? And of course, nobody minds going to Japan, right? So so
Right.
then we said, well, we can't do that, but we'll bring you to Philadelphia, where Love Park used to be, and we'll do a shoot there. And he was like, okay, that'll be fine, you know. And then we couldn't do that because of COVID, and we actually barely got under the wire to be able to do a shoot in his house about it. But from there, he actually remote directed the entire experience in Kawasaki, Japan. We had an 11-hour shoot, started at 6 p.m. and Eastern time. And you know, at 5 a.m. we were wrapping up, and my wife was leaving for work, and I was getting ready to go to bed. But we were able to see these, you know, over 150 cameras, and they are kind of set up, like I said, along this green screen. And there's computer software that fills in the holes in between. And you're able to see these, you know, athletes or whoever you have from any angle. We set up the classic Love Park tricks, which were a ledge, and certainly the garbage can, which even if you're not a skater, you've seen this classic photo a million times of Kayla skating over the garbage can. And we had a couple of young Japanese skaters there, and we had to have those guys because they were you know, kind of COVID ready. And but they
Right.
turned out to be great, and they knew all about Love Park from video games and magazines and everything they'd heard out about in the past. So they were super excited to be part of it, and it did turn out to be beautiful. I mean, when I saw the final experience of Love Park, it actually, I took my breath away a little bit because it reminded me so much of when I used to walk through Love Park on my way back home. So so it really is a beautiful experience, and like I said, this long live love is a way to make technology real for people and ties back into our Kiyosei philosophy.
I think that's, I mean, there's so many different things right there. You're bringing back to life a park that's gone, but then you've got two
Yeah.
Japanese skateboarders who had never been there, but know it through media. And then you're, you know, this remote directing of it, all making that experience come to life. And people can try it out too and take a look at it. With that, you know, it's looking at what you're able to do with this, you know, and clearly COVID had a huge influence on all of this because you couldn't do it the way you wanted to, but you created new solutions. Do you see this translating going forward and how this kind of tech could be used, you know, for whether it's a sporting experience or even like a live concert? You mentioned you're a musician. Is this the kind of thing where you
Mhm.
envision Canon being in a place to bring that to people?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, especially in this COVID world where people have to have better experiences from home, you know, I'm excited tonight about watching a hockey game, and you know, but it's going to be kind of like the same old thing, you know. But wouldn't it be great if
Yeah.
I was able to select which player I could watch at certain times, or be able to kind of flip the angle on my own? And I think that there's a real possibility for that in the future. And I also think, especially for you know, you think about the arts and you know, kind of the high arts, classical and jazz and things like that. I think they could really use this kind of thing to rejuvenate their fan bases as well.
Well, I agree completely. I think that's a great way to bring more people in. And also, you know, like you said, we're all at home and it gives you that much more closer experience to actually being there and being a part of it. And for a lot of reasons, I think even post COVID, this is going to be huge. Looking at Canon, you know, kind of going forward here, now that we started off the year, for people out there who are, of course, fans of your products, what can they look forward to as far as maybe coming up in the next few months?
Well, of course, you know, we always have a great product pipeline coming, and you know, I'm not allowed to say anything. They'll beat me up when I get back into work, you know, if I say anything. But I think
Had to
that there's a
try.
lot of excitement. Of course, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement coming forward, and of course, you know, there's a bunch of other experiences on the website that I think people could take a look at as well. You know, there's something called AMLOS, which is short for Activate My Line of Sight, and that's a way to create a hybrid environment between teams, people in the office and people at home. And we have a very cool spy experience in there. We share some information about our innovation lab on that site as well. and there's some cool stuff about aqueous silk, and of course, for the people who are just real deep Canon fans, take a look at our Yellowstone experience. We just released the R5 and the R6 to tremendous reviews and sales. And we gave it to Chaz Glatzer, an explorer of light, and he took it out into Yellowstone in really extreme temperatures and extreme circumstances. The camera performed flawlessly, and there's a great experience on there. And like I said, for Canon fans, they're going to love it. You can spend a couple of minutes in each experience, or you could spend an hour in each experience and really learn a lot about the company and the future of our technologies.
Really cool. Chuck, I want to thank you very much for joining us too. I mean, like you said, it's taken like a storied brand like Canon. We're all apart, but still bringing everybody together to get to share an experience and see how tech can move us forward and still keep us all connected like that. And it's really, really fun to see what you've put together. And I'm excited to see what else comes down the pipeline from this as well. And, thank you very much for joining us here today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. It's an honor. And, Canon's been in the top 5 in patents for the last 35 years. We have a lot more technology to share in the future.
I cannot wait to see it. Well, Chuck, thank you very much for being here on Two Box Media with us.
Thank you, Greg. It's my honor.
So how cool is that, right? Talking about how technology can bring us all together and just what Canon, story brand. I highly suggest you go there and take a look at those experiences that we're just walking through, because they're really fun to see what's possible even right now, and let alone what's going to be coming down the pipeline. So really cool stuff. And thanks everybody for watching this. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Two Box Media. We'll be back soon with more. And here's the more that we were talking about. Hello, I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining. So just kind of want to walk through what we talked about today, and I want to tell you about some other cool things that we have. First off, though, thank you to Chuck from Canon. That was a great interview. Fascinating stuff that they are doing. I love talking to them and seeing where they're taking all this technology. Always really cool. And if you haven't gone there to check out the experience that he was talking about, you can do it online. It's like you fly around a satellite. It's really, really cool. Definitely a cool thing to check out today. Something else to check out, of course, WandaVision, which is now out on Disney+, the start of the whole MCU every day for the rest of your life. And I'm probably on board for all of it. So WandaVision, you can check that out. But we've got a video for you on our YouTube channel that will walk you through all the other things that you can stream right now in January, and even things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So maybe there's something you missed. You're looking for a new show. You're like, hey, I don't know what to check out. There's so many options. We'll help you out with that. We've got 10 different ones that you can take a look at. So again, that's at youtube.com/2boxmedia, TWO Box Media. Go there, hit subscribe, share the show. That is always really helpful. We also have all of our CES interviews are going up on there. We've talked to so many cool people this week. It has been a lot of tech this week. I mean, the Consumer Electronics Show happened all virtually, and we covered it. And the only reason we're able to do that is because you are all following along with us and watching and sharing the show, and we appreciate that so much. So please continue to do so and take a look at all that. And thank you to all the wonderful companies that we spoke with this week. Really, really cool stuff that's going out. And we've got a lot going forward here with this show and this company. So send us an email, info@twoboxmedia.com, greg@twoboxmedia.com, whatever one you want to go to, whatever avenue, send us an email, leave us a comment, share the show. We appreciate all of that. And we're going to be back on our regular schedule next week. We'll be here Monday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific. So we'll be here with whatever else is going on in the world of tech, entertainment, and culture, all of those things that we cover here. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler on behalf of Jess Serba and Mikey Solis. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on Monday with more 2 Box Live.